and 888-971-7243. 888-971-7243. Studio. I got a lot to talk to you about today. Biden is underwater. There was an earlier poll this week from Quinnipiac. I'm going to give you some of those numbers. There's more evidence that Biden was warned about the Taliban's quick takeover, and he was adamant that he wanted to do things his way instead of listening to some better minds. And unfortunately, as a result of that, we got a retreat and surrender that wound up with 13 of our servicemen being murdered by the Taliban, whom the White House is now attempting to negotiate with. Also, we'll have at the bottom of the hour, Jorge Bonilla, Media Research Latino, will be with us. Hour 2, Moderna says people who received their vaccine last year are twice as likely to get a breakthrough infection compared to those who recently got the shot. Governor Ron DeSantis has said that Biden's mandate ignores science, so we'll get to that, as well as talk a little bit about CRT, critical race theory, and how a black homeschooling group is saying they won't stand for that. Critical race theory is absolutely toxic, and it is one of the most toxic issues or topics, if you will, that the left is using to try to take over America, to fundamentally change America. And they're using skin color, they're using identity politics to do that. That's substituted class warfare. And then we'll talk about the 7 rules of social change. Larry Elder just went through a very tough fight in the state of California. And I just, before coming on air, listened to part of his interview that he had given on Dennis Prager's show today with Mark Davis, filling in. And listen, it's got to be an extremely deflating feeling. I can't fully comprehend. I've worked with a couple of campaigns here locally in Florida, and you invest all this time and energy, and then all of a sudden it's like the rug is just pulled from right under your feet, and it does hurt, and it is painful. But then you get up and you dust off your shoes and you just continue to fight. I don't know what Larry Elder's future holds. You know what? Maybe we can try to get him on the show tomorrow. Get him on his show tomorrow. But I don't know what the future holds for Larry Elder. But regardless of what he decides to do, obviously the guy is going to do great things. I do believe that it's California's loss. However, I don't know if it's because I'm an optimist, at least when it comes to politics, or if it's just because I've always, in my mind, I've always been sort of a loner, but I've always been a fighter as well. I don't like giving up. I'm one of these people. People tell me that this can't happen, or this can't be done, and those aren't the people that I like listening to, quite frankly. I do believe, and I've believed this for quite some time, that California can flip if you have the right person. And I understand 2-1, Democrats, Republicans, but I do want to say this, because I am frustrated with the Republican Party. We had Fire Marshal Bill, a.k.a. Joe Biden, show up. We had Barack Obama, former President Barack Obama, issue ads that ran throughout California. You had Kamala Harris show up. Can I ask you, where was the Republican Party? And I understand that, listen, there were local communities, local executive committees, from what I understand, obviously hosting Larry Elder, supporting Larry Elder, endorsing Larry Elder. Some newspapers did so. Where was the Republican Party? See, this is what I can't stand about the Republican Party. When it comes to critical race theory, when it comes to progressivism, you realize that it's taken the left approximately 100 years in order for all of this stuff, all of this chaos that we see today. We think it happened, man, all of a sudden. It looks like all of this stuff, all of this chaos has just all of a sudden, just happened. It did it. That's why I'm going to talk to you about the 7 rules of social change in the third hour. How do you eat an apple? One bite at a time. Or how do you eat an elephant? I'm sorry. One bite at a time. And this is something that Republicans fundamentally don't get. Dare I say easier, but I would say that you run the exact same way that Larry Elder did with the exact same platform, and you don't let them run from the issues. I would do man on the street interviews with people, and I would make those my ad campaigns when it came to the wildfires, when it came to homelessness, when it came to violence and gangsters in the hood and people living in fear. Those would be the ads that I would play. And then Republicans don't see. This is why I say, and I didn't intend to talk about this, to be quite honest with you, at least not in this segment. But this is why I say, as much as I can't stand the left, as much as I can't stand what the Democrat Party has done to this country, I love how they fight. I wish Republicans would take a note from the Democrat Party on how to fight. They understand the theory of incrementalism. They understand how to eat an elephant one bite at a time. Republicans, no, we can never win that. For God's sakes, it's 2-1 Democrats there. Well, you know what? You know who else lives in the state of California? Freaking human beings. Human beings that want a home. Human beings that want safe streets. Human beings that don't want to see their forest fires in their freaking backyard. That's who else lives there, Republicans. This is what I cannot stand about the Republican Party. It's what I can't stand about conservatives. I can't stand people that want to give up on a fight. It drives me nuts. It drives me insane. The country is on fire. On absolute fire. And the best we can do, it's 2-1. It's 2-1 in California. My God, man. And it'll always be 2-1 in California as long as our mentality is like that. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Republican Party, start investing. I've spoken to so many people that have been strategists in California, and they have told me flatly, the Republican Party just gives up in California, and they've done this for years. Larry Elder had to carry them on his freaking back. Kind of reminiscent of Trump. Oh, and I know they hate Trump in California. But you know what they don't hate? They don't hate affordable housing. They don't hate having water. They don't hate being able to afford their groceries. It's amazing to me. This is amazing to me. Republicans that don't want to fight, please step aside. Conservatives that don't want to fight, please step aside. The country is on fire. We need fighters. We don't need pansies. We don't need wimps. We need fighters. It's as simple as that to me. It's one of the reasons that I love our Governor Ron DeSantis. I'm going to talk about him a little later in the program. Actually, I'm going to talk about an issue because it broke. It broke a couple of hours ago. What Biden and his administration is trying to do now. We're getting a taste of socialized medicine. Where are the Republicans at? Biden now wants to ration the monoclonal antibodies in states that in the Southeast that have been clamoring for them because we realize that they work, and they're not a substitute for the vaccine by any stretch of the imagination, but they work. Now we're going to get rationed. I'll talk about that next. Carl Jackson in for Larry Elder. We'll be back in a few.
Trending now on the Charlie Kirk Show.
The Arizona Supreme Court said Tuesday that contractors hired by the state Senate to conduct the audit would not need to release the records from their review by next week. This is only a temporary delay, is what we're being told. A left-wing watchdog group, American Oversight, took its record request to the court and emerged victorious when the Arizona Court of Appeals ruled that Cyber Ninjas, the Florida-based firm leading the audit, was subject to state public records law because it was performing a core government function. Arizona President Karen Fann argued the records should not be publicly released because they're maintained by private contractors, so legislative immunity applies to the documents. It is ordered extending the stay to enable the court to fully consider the issues raised in the petition for review. American Oversight suit is not the only one leveled against the Arizona Senate. The Phoenix-based Arizona Republic newspaper sued the chamber and Cyber Ninjas on June 30th for access to the host of audit records under the same public records law. Of course, the Arizona Republic is suing. I mean, why would they be reporting? They would be suing people to try to stop the audit. The audit results are coming out soon, despite all of these legal challenges against it. We don't know what it's going to say, but I could tell you that people are very nervous that what might be implemented from, what actually might be exposed from these audit results are going to be significant. Very significant. We know that there were 72,000 more mail-in ballots received than were sent out. We know that this election was interfered with in many different ways, from the Center for Technology of Civic Life, from Mark Zuckerberg's money, and many other people.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com. Trending now on the Dennis Prager Show.
In terms of dedication to helping America, there's no comparison between Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Donald Trump really, really, really wanted to help America. Joe Biden does not. That's Biden, and that's Afghanistan, and that's the conservatives. Now Biden, which we would not have if we had a Republican president. Yes, every one of you businesses in America, you must not allow people who are not vaccinated, even if they've had COVID and are probably in a better medical position not to transmit or get the disease. Everybody has to get a vaccination. We've been lying to you, we on the left, since Roe v. Wade. The government should not interfere with our bodies. It has been a total lie on the part of the left. It was a bull-ass excuse to defend abortion at any time of pregnancy. Nothing they say they mean. It is what is said by the left is said in order to further their agenda, whatever the agenda might be. They do not believe people are in control of their bodies. But in the name of safety, you can force people to do that. Canada, you can't even fly if you didn't get inoculated. Canada is not a free country. Canada does not have free speech. Canada does not have free ability to even travel.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today.
did to Larry Elder. LA Times, all of you that have sentenced blacks and minorities and those that are already impoverished to further poverty, screw all of you. Traitors. Okay, Biden administration send less than half the life-saving antibody treatment needed to Florida. Hat tip Breitbart. The Biden administration this week slashed the doses of life-saving coronavirus antibody treatment to Florida, giving the state less than half of what is needed for a routine week, prioritizing quote-unquote equitable distribution. A move some suspect is a form of revenge against Republican governors whom the president vowed to get out of the way. The Biden administration, also known as Fire Marshal Bill, this week began to cut the distribution of monoclonal antibodies to red states such as Florida and Alabama, just to red states, right? To Florida and Alabama, contending those states, including Texas, Mississippi, Tennessee, Georgia, and Louisiana, are comprising too big a share of the supply in recent weeks, which is 70%. Now, some of you are saying, man, that is a huge share. Are you telling me these red states, just Texas and Florida and Mississippi and Tennessee and Georgia, should take 70% of the medicine? Well, we're the ones who's asking for it, while the rest of you cowards living in the blue states are clamoring in your basements, afraid to go out and smell the roses because you have governors like Gretchen Whitmer or Gavin Newsom telling you that life ends as soon as you step out of your front door. And people in states like Florida, we just happen to enjoy life. We happen to enjoy the outdoors. We happen to enjoy living. We happen to enjoy having a life. So if your governors and if your, I would dare to say even some of your hospital administrators are all playing this game where, COVID is this big boogeyman, 99.5% plus survivability rate. But COVID is this big boogeyman. If your governors are playing that game, your healthcare administrators are playing that game, and you guys are too dumb to figure it out, that's on you. That's on you. But now, what the Biden administration wants to do is punish those of us that love freedom in red states. Punish those of us that get it, that say, hey, you know what? There are other options out there. There are therapeutics out there. So now we have to be punished for having common sense. And I got to tell you, I know several people, including someone that just went today for a monoclonal antibody treatment, and it seems to work fabulously for treating COVID. And I'm not saying it's a cure-all, but if you catch COVID and it's treated early with the monoclonal antibody, I know testimonies where it works fantastically. So that's what we decided. Now, it's not a substitute, once again, for the vaccine. Those that want to get the vaccine can get the vaccine. Those that have natural immunity, like myself, hey, we got natural immunity. But if we were to get sick, we have the option of going right away to get the monoclonal antibody, because the monoclonal antibody will keep you out of the hospital more than likely. The vaccine, and by the way, again, we're going to get into this because now Moderna is saying people who received their vaccine last year are twice as likely to get a breakthrough infection compared to those who recently got the shot. The vaccines are ineffective. And now you got Fire Marshal Bill in the White House that doesn't know what to do. You had Trump in the White House. You had a businessman who knew what he was doing, right? So he comes in, man, we're in a world pandemic. Tell me what Democrat would have reacted that way. We're in a pandemic. Hey, government bureaucracies, NIH, CDC. Let's get this stuff together. What do we have research? What do we know already? What can we put into distribution? What can we get out there to save American lives? This is what Trump did with Operation Warp Speed. It amazes me, and I'm so glad Nicki Minaj took it to Joy Reid yesterday, or in this Twitter battle the last couple of days or so, because it was Joy Reid who was one of the ones, along with VP Harris, along with Fire Marshal Bill, a.k.a. Joe Biden, that were disparaging the vaccine last year. And this year, all of last year was Trump's vaccine, right? Because they weren't in the White House. This year, you better take Trump's vaccine or we're going to take away your freedom. This is who the left is. This is who the left is. If this isn't more proof that the left doesn't care about people, I do not know what is. HHS, and I quote, will determine the amount of product each state and territory receives on a weekly basis. This is from a spokesman from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. State and territorial health departments will subsequently identify sites that will receive product and how much. The official continued, claiming the system will, quote, help maintain equitable distribution both geographically and temporally across the country, providing states and territories with consistent, fairly distributed supply over the coming weeks. Again, people, I tell you, it was our states that were asking for the monoclonal antibodies as a therapeutic, and it was working fabulously. And now they want to punish us because they want to be able to say, you know what, get the vax or die, or if you don't get the vaccine, we want vaccine passports for businesses, so on, etc. They just want to continue to control your life. They're going to use COVID. I'm telling you, the Democrats, all they have is COVID, and they're going to ride it through 2022. They're going to ride it through 2024 if we let them. All right, this is Carl Jackson in for Larry Elder. We'll be back on the other side with Jorge Bonilla, and we'll take some of your calls as well. I love it. All right, welcome back to the Larry Elder Show. Still waiting for my guest, Jorge Bonilla. All right, so the actually, let me go here. Let me go here. Biden is. Let me say this. How do you spell failure? I'll wait till we have Jorge Bonilla on the line, but for now, how do you spell failure? How do you spell failure? Biden. Americans' views of Biden have dimmed. According to the Queen of Piak, Biden is underwater big time and hit on his handling of key issues. Okay, I see I have our guest on the line, so I'll go right to Jorge Bonilla of the Media Research Center Latino. Jorge, how you doing, man? Okay, I'm not hearing anything. Okay, there we go.
What about now?
All right.
Can you hear me now?
I hear you now. Okay.
All right.
All right. How you doing, man? Jorge Bonilla? Jorge Bonilla.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much for having me on.
All right. Absolutely. Okay, so, Jorge, first off, let's get your take on the California recall election. Just your thoughts real quick here.
Man, I'm still processing it, to tell you the truth.
Okay.
But I will say the big takeaway from my side of the railroad track, so to speak, is that the Democrats are feeling a little bit frightened with the way the Latino vote turned out. It turns out that Governor Newsom underperformed.
Really? With the Latino vote?
Yes, he underperformed in comparison to 2018. And I believe the number was 55% of Latino males that voted for the no voted for Larry. So there is some kind of resonance there, but it's what I told you a couple of weeks ago. Latinos do not want to walk to work and pass homeless encampments on streets lined with poop on the way to take their kids to school, where the kids are going to be taught to pray to the Aztec god of death. They don't want that. So what you're seeing, especially in Imperial County in the southernmost part of the state, is something similar to what you saw along the Rio Grande Valley in Texas, where you had, in that case, you had historic Democrat bastions that flipped for President Trump. You're beginning to see some of that in California. So, although perhaps the recall result was not what was desired, there is a glimmer of hope there.
You know what? I love that, Jorge, because, you know, I get so frustrated with all of these Republicans that say it can't be done. And I look at this and I'm like, you know what? Let's learn from this. Democrats learn from their mistakes. Republicans run away from their mistakes. It drives me nuts. And so you sharing that bit of information with me is you know, it's just, it's refreshing to be honest with you. And I also, you know, Sean McConnell, our engineer here, was shared a story with me, you know, the day of the election, and basically the amount of vaccine people that got vaccinated, it actually mirrored the vote in California. So they were able to play this COVID-19 up big time. And it turns out a lot of you know, Californians were still scared because it worked. The ads worked, the fear worked. And so I'm like, Democrats are going to try to run this COVID stuff all the way to 2022. But I figure
they're going to run that game.
Yeah. But Californians and Republicans everywhere, I mean, you have to the best of your ability, fight for election integrity. You got to fight for school boards. You got to fight for city councils. You got to fight for city commissioner seats. I mean, this isn't the time to give up. This is like, okay, I see where we screwed up. Now let's hit these other areas. So I appreciate that fight in you. And by the way, for those of you guys that don't know, how I met Jorge Bonilla was actually, he was running for Congress right here in Florida. And he was a fighter. And I was like, man, if this guy got in Congress, he would he would be the bomb. And it's sad because we had all of these Republicans that, they come out and they talk well and, this and that, but they were so vanilla, if you will. And here this guy comes out with a plan. Here this guy comes out with a fight. So anyway, that's how I ended up meeting Jorge Bonilla. He was running for Congress out here in Central Florida. And it didn't go his way. And it was a tough, long battle. But nevertheless, he was in the fight. I'll come back on the other side more with Jorge Bonilla of Media Research Center Latino.
Trending now on the Dennis Prager Show.
In terms of dedication to helping America, there's no comparison between Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Donald Trump really, really, really wanted to help America. Joe Biden does not. That's Biden, and that's Afghanistan, and that's the conservatives. Now Biden, which we would not have if we had a Republican president. Yes, every one of you businesses in America, you must not allow people who are not vaccinated, even if they've had COVID and are probably in a better medical position not to transmit or get the disease. Everybody has to get a vaccination. We've been lying to you, we on the left, since Roe v. Wade. The government should not interfere with our bodies. It has been a total lie on the part of the left. It was a bull-ass excuse to defend abortion at any time of pregnancy. Nothing they say they mean. It is what is said by the left is said in order to further their agenda, whatever the agenda might be. They do not believe people are in control of their bodies. But in the name of safety, you can force people to do that. Canada, you can't even fly if you didn't get inoculated. Canada is not a free country. Canada does not have free speech. Canada does not have free ability to even travel.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today.
The Democratic Party somehow has convinced black people that they're the good guys. Never mind the skanky history of the Democratic Party. That was a party of slavery.
They're racist, racist, racist. Everything's racist.
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com. Streaming on Salem Now.
Tesla was a genius. His most amazing discoveries thought to be written in a lost journal. Now, in the right hands, it could revolutionize the 21st century.
You can stop an earthquake. Doesn't that mean you could start one too?
That's why that notebook should never fall into the wrong hands.
Shall we stop this thing?
Save the universe!
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
Trending now on the Mike Gallagher Show.
I would say that this is now on track, Peter, to be the largest airlift in U.S. history. And that is bringing American citizens out. It is bringing our Afghan partners out. It is bringing allies out. So no, I would not say that is anything but a success.
Okay.
As the kids would say, OMG. Yeah, we have an extensive vetting process.
But I'm driving and I didn't bring water. So just hang tight. We're going to get home. You're not going to die, okay? I'm on the phone.
Man, this is a great article. All right, welcome back to the Larry Elder Show. I'm speaking with my guest, Jorge Bonilla of Media Research Center Latino. Jorge, again, where can people find you online?
Yes, you can find me on Twitter at BonillaJL. That's BonillaJL on Twitter. And also MRC Latino. You can find MRC Latino on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and online at mrclatino.org.
All right, Jorge, I did the information that you were sharing. I hadn't even heard that, and Sean has sent me, Sean McConnell here has sent me some information. This is very encouraging. I was just reading through it. So you're right, there is a glimmer of hope amongst Latinos because Trump obviously expanded the reach of the Republican Party in the Black community and the Latino community. And it's almost as if it's there for the taking. And Larry Elder was able to do the same in California. And I'm shocked. I mean, this is the first time I'm hearing it, and again reading it now from Sean here. That's pretty amazing. I didn't know that. So there is a glimmer of hope where Democrats do have to be concerned.
I agree, and if I could just weigh in on that piece a little bit more.
Okay.
And it's funny that you brought up my, the fact that I did run is for Congress, and back then we heard some of these things too. Back then, I recall there being a lot of hesitancy about how you're going to engage Hispanics. What are you going to say?
Right.
When the fear was that because we were. Conservatives being perhaps on the restrictive side or the border control side of the immigration argument, how are you going to engage Hispanics? And I would tell people, look, Hispanics want the same things that everybody else does. Let's not put people into a box, into a corner, and make them single-issue immigration voters when they're really not. The only people that benefit from that are what I call the professional Latinos, the grift groups, the Hispanic public sector groups, the Soros front groups. These are the unions. These are the groups that benefit from that. And that hesitancy that you see in California to engage Hispanics in a different manner is, if I may be frank, what has led Democrats to have a whole generation where they have gone scot-free and have been able to engage Hispanics with little more than a noun, a verb, and Prop 187. And that's been the message for a whole generation. And I think we're starting to see some cracks in that armor. And it would be wise to engage Hispanics and further exploit those natural advantages. But It's got to be done. There's got to be the will. There's got to be the will, and there's got to be the money invested in that, and the desire to counteract Latino media, which is going to err on the side of Democrats every single time. There's got to be the will to do that, Paul.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you. Even in California, when people always say 2-1 and this and that, you can never win California. And I'm like, you know what? Even when I was just being stupid in California, you have regular everyday conversations with people, and you're absolutely right. Everybody wants the same thing. Everybody wants their piece of the American dream and stuff like that. So you have to connect the dots, and you have to show them and explain to them who's taking that dream away. And Gavin Newsom is doing that. And I don't understand. I was saying before you came on, Jorge, I look at, the Democrats. I mean, they came out big time. They had to bring out the big dogs in order to save Gavin Newsom. And I'm sitting here thinking, I was just thinking about this today. Where was Kevin McCarthy? Where was Mitch McConnell? Even if you felt like you couldn't overcome or slay Goliath, why aren't you there sending a message? Hey, we're here for you. We're here for you. You may not think about us. You may not see us, but we want you to know, as Republicans, we want you to have a better life, and we're here to fight for you. Even if you don't invest money, show up. I get so frustrated with the Republican Party on this stuff.
there was money. Look, there was money left on the table for sure. My friend Giancarlo Sopo, he ran the Hispanic advertising for the Trump 2020 campaign, and he pointed out that the No, or whoever was in charge of No, or the California GOP, they could have run an ad on the French Laundry incident, and that alone would have been a death blow to Gavin Newsom with Hispanics. If they'd have just done an ad on the French Laundry, showing them as elitist, as out of touch, just to give you one example. And it never, to my knowledge, it never got done. It never got done. It would have picked up a ton of media. Univision and Telemundo, they would have done a ton of outrage items over it. That would have been money. They would have cleaned up with it. But it never got done. You got to have the will, and you got to have the money, because what happens is that when you don't do it, when you don't engage, when you don't invest, what happens is that Democrats have the field free to themselves.
Yep.
And Univision and Telemundo are going to amplify those messages. Univision especially, at least Univision showed people, I mean, Telemundo, every once in a while, they'd show people in support of No, that supported the recall. But Univision especially was atrocious. And they would bring in some of these outside special interest group people that were with Newsom and were aligned, and they would basically portray Hispanics as being dependent, and that their future would be dark if they didn't vote for Newsom and didn't vote against the recall. And it was just very one way, and that's unfortunately what happens when you don't have engagement.
Yeah, that is frustrating. Jorge, we only have 30 seconds before the break, if you'll stick with me. And also, I have some callers on the line with some good calls that I'd like to take. Would you be willing to take some of those calls with me on the other side?
You know what? There's risk in that, but I'm with you. Let's roll.
We got some good ones. All right, this is Carl Jackson. And for Larry Elder, I'm speaking to Jorge Bonilla, the Media Research Center Latino. We'll be back in a few. We'll be all right, Jorge. We'll be all right.
Trending now on America First with Sebastian Gorka.
And as far as I'm concerned, if I may, as a former insider, the key question is going to be personnel. We need to build the bench that helps staff you and doesn't subvert you. What are your plans? What would the second term look like? And who's going to build that bench for you, sir?
Well, first of all, for your listeners, you did a fantastic job. You were terrific. I deal with you a lot. And I dealt with you after you went out and made a fortune. I hope you're making a fortune anyway, but I think you are based on your ratings. But I dealt with you a lot, and that's why I do your show, and I don't do a lot of other shows. I do people that I respect and people that have been fair, and you've been really, I congratulate you. But you were very important, and the great job that you did. You have a knowledge. I heard the word strategist mentioned in the opening, that you were a strategist, and that's really what Biden needs. He needs somebody to help him, because our country is embarrassed. Our country has never been embarrassed like they are right now. In the speech in Alabama, where we had a massive crowd, they say 68,000 people showed up in the rain. It was rain and thunder. And I had the idea the morning of, this was Saturday, the morning of, put up the General Patton, the opening monologue that he does in the movie Patton, which I don't know if it got the Academy Award or very close. And I think George C. Scott did get the Academy Award. But we put up the opening monologue, and I said, that is not a woke general, but it's a general that knows how to win. And we have guys that are more interested in things that have nothing to do with our military. It's really what's going on now is crazy with our whole country. What they're doing now to our country is absolutely frightening.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe today at rumble.com.
All right, welcome back to the Larry Elder Show. I'm Carl Jackson, filling in for the great Eldersky, coming to you live from the ReliefFactor.com studio. On the line with me is my guest, Jorge Bonilla, the Media Research Center Latino. We're going to take a couple of calls if you guys could make them as quick as possible, and hopefully both Jorge and I will be able to respond to as many as possible, but please make them quick. Hey, Bryce, welcome to the Larry Elder Show. You got the mic. Bryce, are you there? Okay, let's go.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay, Bryce, go right ahead, Bryce.
Okay, first I want to congratulate you on taking over for Larry Elder. You have been great. I've never heard of you before, but I encourage you strongly to step into your position because I've listened to you for a week and I agree with everything you've said. Secondly, the comment you made last week about you would have caught a case with what happened with Mr. Elder, I would have too. I think many of us
You knew what that meant, huh, Bryce? All right.
I saw that video, and I was like, yeah, I'm glad that wasn't me.
Okay.
Thirdly, and this is an observation, I'm over here in Dallas, Texas. I drive for a living all day. When I'm driving around, I see California, Oregon, Minnesota, New York license plates, and I literally want to run them off the road. Used to be, the frame of mind was, welcome to Texas, don't vote the way you did, but come on in. Now it's like, we don't even want you. But with that said, I see Florida license plates, Mississippi, Georgia, those states, and I'm like, yeah, welcome to Texas. We love you.
Bryce, listen, we're short on time. I do get the sentiment. And listen, Bryce, let me just say this. You're still out there listening, and thank you so much for being a truck driver and bringing us the goods that we need. God bless you for doing that. But I will say this, don't prejudge as quickly. I understand the feeling, but I got to tell you that I met two people from Cali, one from Boston, one from Nevada. All of them were fleeing because they couldn't stand the lockdowns and they were voting Republican. A quick response from you, Jorge, on that call?
Bryce is 1,000% right on all counts. You have done a fantastic job while you've been behind the con.
Thank you.
Perhaps I would have caught a case too, if that were me. And in that position, and yes, don't prejudge when you see them out of state license plates, because there are people fleeing the lockdown.
Yeah,
and that have had enough between the lockdowns and the stuff going on with the school boards and the vaccine mandates. You're going to see a lot more shift. And yes, Bryce, thank you so much for being on the road and delivering them goods.
All right. Well, listen, we've run out of time. I wanted to talk to you about the issues on the border, Jorge, but we're just simply out of time. So we will talk to you next time, man. I appreciate you diving in with us.
I appreciate it, Carl. Thanks for having me.
All right. God bless. And Matthew, I see you there. If you're still there on the other side, we'll be going to you next. This is Carl Jackson in for Larry Elder. We'll be back.
Man, I miss my father, and I want him to be here with me, but he's not.
We all had something in common. A lot of us were miserable. We had no fathers in our lives.
This is how I began the life of crime. I desired to have a father who would tell me that what I did was wrong.
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
I think this family can pick you up every time you fall.
Every time I take one step forward.
When Wright came in this morning, he wants to fight you.
No one expected this out of him.
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
I grew up poor, which is even worse than being poor.
We would have sandwiches with no meat.
My American dream entailed working hard and making $20,000 a year. But I surpassed that goal and became a corporate CEO.
We'll all be able to say, free at last, free at last.
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
Trending now on the Dennis Prager Show.
I would like my fellow conservatives, the majority of whom wanted to leave Afghanistan, to be as intellectually honest as I demand the left is, you must say, I am for the Taliban taking over Afghanistan. If you do not say that, you are a conservative who is not being honest. You cannot say, I am for leaving Afghanistan, but I am against the Taliban taking over Afghanistan. Then you are deluding yourself, and a conservative should never do that. That should be the monopoly of the left. It's equivalent to men give birth, okay? To deny that the Taliban, that you are giving Afghanistan over to the Taliban if you leave.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today. Trending now on The Mike Gallagher Show.
I would say that this is now on track, Peter, to be the largest airlift in U.S. history. And that is bringing American citizens out. It is bringing our Afghan partners out. It is bringing allies out. So no, I would not say that is anything but a success.
Okay. As the kids would say, OMG. Yeah, we have an extensive vetting process. Sure we do. I've been to the border, lady. No, you don't. No, you don't. But again, back to Kamala Harris. There she is trying to escape this mess by hiding out in Singapore. But there are reporters there, too.
To that end, we have seen a successful drawdown of the embassy, and thankfully, without any American casualties. We have seen thousands of people who have been evacuated from the airport in Afghanistan, where the United States military doing very hard and difficult work.
It's very difficult to get all those Afghans out of Afghanistan. Again, let me read the numbers to you. This was leaked, and it's on the Federalist. We've got the whole article posted at MikeOnline.com. According to this leaked information from the U.S. State Department, the evacuation numbers, within 15-hour period of time, August 23rd, midnight to 3 p.m., the United States evacuated a total of 6,916 people. Only 483 were Americans. The vast majority were Afghan nationals, 6,425.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com. Trending now on The Charlie Kirk Show.
Afghanistan continues to be a mess, and Americans are stranded in Afghanistan, and our government is uncertain what to do. We have some exclusive frontline updates from Afghanistan to share with you, including how private contractors and private citizens are stepping up and doing the job that our government refuses to do. And also, we're going to go into great detail all of the weapons that we have left behind in Afghanistan. And it's not just bullets and guns. It is some of the most sophisticated, top-level weaponry. We're going to get into all of that and the cost associated with it.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com. Trending now on The Hugh Hewitt Show.
Jen Psaki, the pressure is getting to her, questioned by Peter Doocy, a famous clip already, cut number 11.
But does the president have a sense that most of the criticism is not of leaving Afghanistan, it's the way that he has ordered it to happen by pulling the troops before getting these Americans who are now stranded? Does he have a sense of that?
First of all, I think it's irresponsible to say Americans are stranded. They are not. We are committed to bringing Americans who want to come home. We are in touch with them via phone, via text, via email, via any way that we can possibly reach Americans to...
Jake Tapper thinks they're stranded on CNN, cut number 4.
Look, I understand that people are working long hours in the White House, the National Security Council, State Department, Pentagon, and over in Kabul to get Americans out of that country. And I understand the White House wanting to reassure the nation that all Americans will ultimately be evacuated. But there are no doubt Americans who feel stranded in Afghanistan right now.
Of course there are. It's absurd for the White House, and it tells you something about Joe Biden. Britt Hume was on with our friend Guy Benson on his radio show yesterday, said this, cut number one.
But anybody who ever heard him speak for any length of time could tell that this was not the sharpest knife in the drawer. And, he could talk forever and was famous for it. But you never had the sense that he was terribly smart. And on top of that, now he's manifestly senile. And between those two things, this is a man with very, very severe limitations who is well too old, in my opinion, to be the President of the United States.
Man, that was right on time.
All right, welcome back to the Larry Elder Show. This is Carl Jackson sitting in for the great Eldersky. The number to call in, 888-971-7243, 888-971-7243. Let me just real quickly here, before I go back to take a couple of calls here. Hat tip Sean here. Wounded Marine killed terrorist who fired on panicked crowd after the suicide bombing. So I'm glad they were able to kill that guy. But also this, aid to Afghanistan is ransom for the largest hostage crisis since Iran. This, I believe, is Congressman Waltz, if I'm not mistaken. The Biden administration it's from Representative Mike Waltz, and he's the first Green Beret to ever be elected into office. But on Wednesday's broadcast of Fox News Primetime, Representative Michael Waltz said that planes are still stuck in Mazar Sharif. The situation in Afghanistan is, and I quote, the largest hostage crisis since 1979 in Tehran, and that humanitarian aid being sent to Afghanistan will be controlled by the Taliban and is ransom. And this is obvious. Why would we send $64 million to a bunch of terrorists? Why would we do that? It's obvious that it's ransom. And the fact that the media does not cover this is absolutely disgusting. When you still have Americans stuck there, you still have SIVs stuck there, and you got, this Milley, I can't stand this guy Milley, but I have to say this. There's something about that story. I would prefer to see this guy testify in front of Congress. Milley is an absolute disaster. He's been a disaster with CRT. He's been a disaster with the Biden surrender in Afghanistan. He's been an absolute disaster. But it's something about this story where he circumvented his authority, went behind Trump's back. If it's true, I do believe this guy should be court-martialed and have the book thrown at him. But when it comes from Bob Woodward, I want to hear more. I listened to Cheryl Atkinson last night. She was on Greg Gutfeld's show, and she said, let me just say this. And Rick Grinnell, I had to forget, if I could find it. I had a printout from Rick Grinnell where Rick Grinnell was a little skeptical as well. And of course, just like Trump, if it did in fact happen, he recommended obviously punishment as well. And now obviously I can't find it. He recommended punishment as well, but there was just a bit of a skepticism. And I'm like, okay, if that's coming from Rick Grinnell and if that's coming from Trump, I'm just going to hold my horses. Everything that Milley has done so far, in my opinion, warrants court-martialing already. So if he really did undermine Trump and go behind his back, then throw the book at him, I say. But Watts goes on to say, well, let's call the situation what it is. It is the largest hostage crisis since 1979 in Tehran. And now you're seeing the administration pushing humanitarian aid, which the Taliban are going to control and distribute. Let's call that what it is, which is ransom. Those 8 planes full of Americans and full of our Afghan allies are still, to this day, stuck up in an airport in Mazar Sharif. Are you hearing about this on the news? They want to move past this story so quickly because I'm telling you, I'm going to read these poll numbers to you shortly. Biden is done. This is a lame duck president. The Republican Party should not be working with the Democrat Party for absolutely anything. Let's take a couple of your calls. Let's go to Matthew in Erie, Pennsylvania. Matthew, welcome to the Larry Elder Show. You've got the mic.
Hey, Carl. Thanks for taking my call.
Absolutely.
I didn't believe that there was, this widespread white supremacy and systemic racism in America, but after watching the retention election of Gavin Nuisance, or Gavin Useless, whatever he is, I see that it's rampant, and it's rampant in the Democratic Party, namely.
Yes.
Because they don't value diversity of race or anything else unless it happens to be in line, if you're completely in step with their lack of values system.
Yeah,
and it's proven with Gavin's every move that he makes, whether it's closing all the schools, in-person schools, while keeping his kids in class in private schools, and opposing school choice, like Larry brings up the facts. Whether it's Biden calling him a clone of Trump, if Trump had made any comment about a up-and-coming black political to be, he would have never left the news cycle for months.
Yeah, you're right about that.
But it just gets chalked up to, maybe Joe Biden has a stutter, and racism was okay if it comes from him. So it's white supremacy, systemic racism. It's okay just so long as it's approved by the Democratic Party.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and that's a good call. I remember at one point I was emailing with Sue, Dennis Prager's wife, and I was actually trying to book him on my local show, and we were corresponding, and I forget the issue, but somehow, some way I mentioned systemic racism, and America isn't systemically racist, and I'm paraphrasing, but she said something to the effect of, well, no, Carl, America is, or the Democrat Party is systemically racist. And it's like, yeah, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. The Democrat Party is systemically racist. They systematically try to hold down minorities. They try to scare them. Now, they try to hold down everybody, quite frankly. But if they know that if the black vote leaves them, if black people start talking or caring about issues more than their skin color, the Democrat Party would be done today, and they know that. They know that. So, good call. Let me play let me play this audio clip for you, because I was just telling you that there's still a hostage situation. By the way, hat tip to Sean McConnell for that article. But there's still a hostage situation in Afghanistan. The media isn't paying any attention to it. Biden is a complete disaster, and now we're paying ransom money to a terrorist organization, the Taliban, and who knows if that's going to be enough. Who knows if that's going to be enough? But here's what Nancy Pelosi thinks about Biden's foreign policy, despite the fact that you just found out we pay $64 million in ransom money to the Taliban. Audio clip 2, por favor.
me just say about our president, President Biden. President Biden we're so fortunate that he did not win for president before when he ran, because we needed him now. He's perfect for now. He knows his foreign policy. He was chair of the Foreign Policy Committee. He's extends the hands of friendship to friend and foe alike in order to have communication. He understands the value of that. He knows and is known by most leaders and coming up leaders in the world.
All right, so I got to tell you, that's the first time that I'm hearing that audio clip, and I wanted to rag on her because she said that he's perfect for foreign policy, but obviously we know that's a lie. He's a complete disaster on foreign policy. But she said something that I think is eye-opening. He's perfect for now. She said he's perfect for now. And she's absolutely right. Because through Biden and the way that he exists today and his cognitive abilities or lack thereof, they can get virtually anything. And when I say they, I'm talking about the radical left, the far left. They can get virtually anything they want done. We've heard Nancy Pelosi come out and say what she wanted. Chuck Schumer has said what she wants. Where's Mitch McConnell? Carl Jackson in for Larry Elder. We'll be back in a few.
Pope, which is even worse than being poor.
We would have sandwiches with no meat.
My American dream entailed working hard and making $20,000 a year. But I surpassed that goal and became a corporate CEO.
We'll all be able to say, free at last, free at last.
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
Trending now on the Dennis Prager Show.
I would like my fellow conservatives, the majority of whom wanted to leave Afghanistan, to be as intellectually honest as I demand the left is. You must say, I am for the Taliban taking over Afghanistan. If you do not say that, you are a conservative who is not being honest. You cannot say, I am for leaving Afghanistan, but I am against the Taliban taking over Afghanistan. Then you are deluding yourself, and a conservative should never do that. That should be the monopoly of the left. It's equivalent to men give birth, okay? To deny that the Taliban, that you are giving Afghanistan over to the Taliban if you leave.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today. Trending now on the Mike Gallagher Show.
I would say that this is now on track, Peter, to be the largest airlift in U.S. history. And that is bringing American citizens out. It is bringing our Afghan partners out. It is bringing allies out. So no, I would not say that is anything but a success.
Okay. As the kids would say, OMG. Yeah, we have an extensive vetting process. Sure we do. I've been to the border, lady. No, you don't. No, you don't. But again, back to Kamala Harris. There she is trying to escape this mess by hiding out in Singapore. But there are reporters there, too.
To that end, we have seen a successful drawdown of the embassy, and thankfully, without any American casualties. We have seen thousands of people who have been evacuated from the airport in Afghanistan, where the United States military doing very hard and difficult work.
Yeah, it's very difficult to get all those Afghans out of Afghanistan. Again, let me read the numbers to you. This was leaked, and it's on the Federalist. We've got the whole article posted at MikeOnline.com. According to this leaked information from the U.S. State Department, the evacuation numbers, within 15-hour period of time, August 23rd, midnight to 3 p.m., the United States evacuated a total of 6,916 people. only 483 were Americans. The vast majority were Afghan nationals, 6,425.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com. Trending now on The Charlie Kirk Show.
Afghanistan continues to be a mess, and Americans are stranded in Afghanistan, and our government is uncertain what to do. We have some exclusive frontline updates from Afghanistan to share with you, including how private contractors and private citizens are stepping up and doing the job that our government refuses to do. And also, we're going
I straight up wanted to say I want my baby back ribs. You never know where that is. So fascinating. Hey, welcome back to the Larry Elder Show. I am your guest host, Carl Jackson, filling in for the great El Dursky. Sean McConnell is a music phenom. I mean, I'm sitting here learning music and hearing stuff for the first time and, you know, being able to connect the dots with this. And so I'm hearing the beginning of this song. Who is this, Sean? No way. Oh, wait. I mean, that's where they Chili's baby back ribs. No way. I did not know that. All right. That's pretty cool. All right. Let's take another call real quick. Before I go into, there's more articles here. I'm seeing from Sean. I got plenty of stuff from Forgotten Man that I need to get to. We're going to get into this COVID thing. I'm telling you, this Moderna issue is a big deal, but you have people like Nicki Minaj, who I give props to, who are standing up. You got a comedian from SNL, or alumni comedian, Jim Brewer. I didn't get to that the other night. How do you say it? Jim Brewer. Okay. So, SNL alum, and we'll talk about that briefly as well. But these are the type of people that are going to make a difference, standing up beyond just conservatives and Republicans and patriots, liberty lovers, because these people have a significant influence. But unfortunately for Nicki Minaj, Jack Dorsey of Twitter is imposing black codes on her. But we will get to that right now. Let's go to a call real quick. Let's go to Dominique in Clearwater. Dominique, welcome to the Larry Elder Show. You got the mic.
Hey, Mr. Larry. Mr. Carl, I really appreciate you.
Thank you.
I called because when I hear that Larry's down, I said, no way. He has broken the foundation. He has given every family in America a yardstick. So when you come talking about that black thing, they pull the yardstick. When you come talking about education, they pull the yardstick. When somebody in California that is paying for renting right now can't afford to buy a house, they pull the yardstick.
Yeah.
And the best thing the Republican Party did was not throwing everything to California. There is a time for everything.
Okay.
I honestly believe with this foundation that Mr. Larry has created, wait and see what's going to happen in California. I mean, look at you. I will never listen to you. I didn't know anything about you. But look at the yardstick. Look at the foundation. Now,
okay.
Wherever you go, I'll follow you. Thank you very much. He's a winner, and he has won the election. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dominique. I will say this, to piggyback off of Dominique's call. Just consider the platform that the issues that Larry Elder put on the table. I'm telling you, all of that stuff is going to go to crap in the next year. And they are going to be able to look at Larry Elder's platform that he just ran, his campaign that he just ran, and say, oh, Larry Elder said that, Larry Elder said that, Larry Elder said that. I honestly, California, you're going to regret it. You're going to regret it. At least some of you will regret it. Some of you are just going to be followers for the rest of your life. It's a sad statement, but it's a true statement. Listen, there's no reason to follow Biden anywhere. There's no reason for Republicans to follow Biden over the cliff. There's no reason for Republicans to work with Biden whatsoever. Biden is underwater. Hat tip, forgotten man. Biden underwater on job approval and handling of key issues. Quinnipiac University national poll finds more than 6 in 10 Americans believe U.S. troops will have to return to Afghanistan. But he's behind on so many issues, from COVID to the foreign policy to the economy, even on issues of global warming, which I don't even know how you can have a negative rating on global warming. Biden does now. It's pretty crazy to me. But anyway, Americans' views have dimmed on the way Biden is handling his job as president, with 42% approving and 50% disapproving. This according to Quinnipiac University national poll of adults, and this was released earlier this week. This is the first time that Biden's job approval has dropped into the negative territory since he's taken office. In early August, he was up to where 46% of Americans approved of his job handling and 43% disapproved. But that has changed. Again, now he's down 42% approving, 50% disapproving, just opposed 46% of Americans approved and 43% disapproved. And then in this poll, Democrats approve of Biden 88 to 7%, which is just crazy to me. But at least there's a crack there. While Republicans disapprove 91 to 7%, so 7% of Republicans are smoking crack. And then independents disapprove 52 to 34%. And then as far as COVID is concerned, Biden's numbers on his handling of the COVID response are kind of a mixed bag, with 48% approving, 49% disapproving. But compared to August, when he received 53% to 40% approval rating on his handling of the coronavirus. So that's dipped a little bit for him. As far as foreign policy is concerned, Americans give him a negative score on his handling of foreign policy, and hopefully more Americans will find out that we still have hostages, for God's sake, sitting on a tarmac, I guess, in Mazar Sharif, and we're giving them $64 million. Why are we giving the Taliban $64 million? We know why. We all know why. Headline here, hat tip Sean McConnell, U.S. citizen, State Department didn't help me get out of Afghanistan. Why did they leave me behind with my family? Maybe we'll have time to get into that a little later. But the Afghanistan issue hasn't gone anywhere. It still exists. They want to run away from this. This is the reason why, okay, if Milley is a traitor, throw the book at him. Throw the book at him. You know, we should investigate, get him in front of Congress, make him answer some questions. But there's a couple of people, again, Trump was a little skeptical. Rick Grinnell is a little skeptical. You have General Jack Keane that's a little skeptical as well. And something about this story that it just doesn't sit right with me. And I'm with all of my colleagues. If this guy did this, he is a traitor. He is treacherous. I get it. I am with you guys on that. But there's just something. I don't know what it is. Just a gut feeling. Something about that story. You know, he hasn't defended himself, so maybe that alone tells us he's guilty. But still, I'd like to see him in front of Congress. When it comes to where was I on foreign policy? All right, so Americans give him a negative score on foreign policy, 34 to 59% in August, 42% approved and 44% disapproved of his handling of foreign policy. So his numbers are just trending down. They also gave Biden a negative score on his handling as just commander-in-chief, with 40% approving, 55% disapproving. This guy is on his way down. Republicans shouldn't do anything to prop him up. We'll be back in a few. This is Carl Jackson in for Larry Elder.
Trending now on the Charlie Kirk Show.
The Arizona Supreme Court said Tuesday that contractors hired by the state Senate to conduct the audit would not need to release the records from their review by next week. This is only a temporary delay, is what we're being told. A left-wing watchdog group, American Oversight, took its record request to the court and emerged victorious when the Arizona Court of Appeals ruled that Cyber Ninjas, the Florida-based firm leading the audit, was subject to state public records law because it was performing a core government function. Arizona President Karen Fann argued the records should not be publicly released because they're maintained by private contractors, so legislative immunity applies to the documents. It is ordered extending the stay to enable the court to fully consider the issues raised in the petition for review. American Oversight's suit is not the only one leveled against the Arizona Senate. The Phoenix-based Arizona Republic newspaper sued the chamber and Cyber Ninjas on June 30th for access to the host of audit records under the same public records law. Of course, the Arizona Republic is suing. I mean, why would they be reporting? They would be suing people to try to stop the audit. The audit results are coming out soon, despite all of these legal challenges against it. We don't know what it's going to say, but I could tell you that people are very nervous that what might be implemented from, what actually might be exposed from these audit results are going to be significant. Very significant. We know that there were 72,000 more mail-in ballots received than were sent out. We know that this election was interfered with in many different ways, from the Center for Technology of Civic Life, from Mark Zuckerberg's money, and many other people.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com. Trending now on the Dennis Prager Show.
In terms of dedication to helping America, there's no comparison between Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Donald Trump really, really, really wanted to help America. Joe Biden does not. That's Biden, and that's Afghanistan, and that's the conservatives. Now Biden, which we would not have if we had a Republican president. Yes, every one of you businesses in America, you must not allow people who are not vaccinated, even if they've had COVID, and are probably in a better medical position not to transmit or get the disease. Everybody has to get a vaccination. We've been lying to you, we on the left, since Roe v. Wade. The government should not interfere with our bodies. It has been a total lie on the part of the left. It was a bull-s excuse to defend abortion at any time of pregnancy. Nothing they say they mean. It is what is said by the left is said in order to further their agenda, whatever the agenda might be. They do not believe people are in control of their bodies. But in the name of safety, you can force people to do that. Canada, you can't even fly if you didn't get inoculated. Canada is not a free country. Canada does not have free speech. Canada does not have free ability to even travel.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today.
All right, speaking of Cry Macho, let me tell you about the new Clint Eastwood movie. Warner Brothers Pictures presents Cry Macho. From legendary director Clint Eastwood comes a story of being lost and found. Eastwood returns as a one-time rodeo star and washed-up horse breeder who takes a job to bring back a man's young son home from Mexico. The unlikely pair face an unexpectedly challenging journey. The only road home is through redemption. See it in theaters and on HBO Max for 31 days tomorrow. Rated PG-13. The movie may be inappropriate for young men and women under the age of 13. And yes, it's only young men and women. There are not 90-something genders. I'm sorry. All right. getting back to these numbers, and then I'm going to Rob next in Citrus Heights, California. But I just want to reiterate these foreign policy numbers. This guy, his numbers shouldn't be this high, and they wouldn't be. They would not be if the media would do their job, but the media isn't going to do their job because the media is going to try to prop this man up the best they can. So again, just to reiterate the foreign policy, he's now down to 34 disapprove, 59%, 34% approve, 59% disapprove. Just 1 month ago, he was at 42% approving and then 44% disapproving. So those numbers are huge on his handling of the economy. He's got a negative 42% that approve, 52% that disapprove. In August, it was slightly negative with 43% of people that were approving and 48% disapproving. So he was still doing bad, but he's doing even worse. His handling of the of climate change or global warming. Americans are divided there as well, with 42% approving, 45% disapproving. This compares to a positive 48% to 35% just 1 month ago. So the guy's numbers are dropping like a rock. His honeymoon is officially over. It's time for Republicans to stand up and to fight back. The only thing holding this presidency together, in my opinion, is the media. If the media would report the facts, this presidency would be over. As far as Afghanistan is concerned, 54% approve. This is more than half of all of Americans say they approve of Biden's decision to withdraw all U.S. troops from Afghanistan. So he's got a 54-41 split there. Nearly 7 in 10 Americans say it was the right thing to do to end the war in Afghanistan. So he has a 69% approval rating, 24% disapproval rating there. And you're like, Carl, how can this be? Wait a minute. However, as Americans give Biden, Americans are giving Biden a negative 31% approval, 65% disapproval in the way that he pulled out. More than 6 in 10 Americans, 62 to 28%, say they think American troops will have to go back because of what Joe Biden did. A majority of Americans say they are very dissatisfied with Biden. 46% say somewhat dissatisfied. 24% say with the way things are, they're dissatisfied with the way things are going in the nation today. Almost 3 in 10, which is 29%, or roughly 30%, say that they are very satisfied. 3% are somewhat satisfied. The guy's presidency is over. The only thing keeping his presidency on life support is this media. If they will report the truth, he'd be done. Let's take a call. Let's go to, Rob in Citrus Heights, California. Rob, welcome to the Larry Elder Show. You got the mic.
Thanks, Carl. Thanks for being gracious about taking my call the other day and this one too. So a couple of comments, really. I'm just as angry at conservatives not being able to get out there and fight the same way that Democrats, particularly the leftists, fight like a pack of jackals all the time. They overwhelm in numbers, and but I think a lot of that is because so many of my Democrat friends have only one child, no children, or they're not married. My sister, my brother are both good examples. I'm the only one that had kids. I'm the only one that's conservative. I think we're too busy trying to raise families, build our own prosperity, and not have we don't have as much time, as much disposable time to be able to put on that. And so I can't completely blame them. I mean, we're not all like Dana Lash, who's got a big income and ability to get out there in the public eye, right? So it would be great, but a lot of us can't. Not to mention, Washington doesn't.
Rob, thanks for the call. We're just out of time. Thank you, Rob. Appreciate you calling in. This is Carl Jackson in for Larry Elder. We'll be back.
Family can pick you up every time you fall. Every time I take one step forward.
When Wright came in this morning, he wants to fight you.
No one expected this out of him.
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
I grew up poor, which is even worse than being poor.
We would have sandwiches with no meat.
My American dream entailed working hard and making $20,000 a year. But I surpassed that goal and became a corporate CEO.
We'll all be able to say, free at last, free at last.
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
Trending now on The Dennis Prager Show.
I would like my fellow conservatives, the majority of whom wanted to leave Afghanistan, to be as intellectually honest as I demand the left is. You must say, I am for the Taliban taking over Afghanistan. If you do not say that, you are a conservative who is not being honest. You cannot say, I am for leaving Afghanistan, but I am against the Taliban taking over Afghanistan. Then you are deluding yourself, and a conservative should never do that. That should be the monopoly of the left. It's equivalent to men give birth, okay? To deny that the Taliban, that you are giving Afghanistan over to the Taliban if you leave.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today. Trending now on The Mike Gallagher Show.
I would say that this is now on track, Peter, to be the largest airlift in U.S. history. And that is bringing American citizens out. It is bringing our Afghan partners out. It is bringing allies out. So no, I would not say that is anything but a success.
Okay. As the kids would say, OMG. Yeah, we have an extensive vetting process. Sure we do. I've been to the border, lady. No, you don't. No, you don't. But again, back to Kamala Harris. There she is trying to escape this mess by hiding out in Singapore. But there are reporters there, too.
To that end, we have seen a successful drawdown of the embassy, and thankfully, without any American casualties. We have seen thousands of people who have been evacuated from the airport in Afghanistan, where the United States military doing very hard and difficult work.
Yeah, it's very difficult to get all those Afghans out of Afghanistan. Again, let me read the numbers to you. This was leaked, and it's on the Federalist. We've got the whole article posted at MikeOnline.com. According to this leaked information from the U.S. State Department, the evacuation numbers, within 15-hour period of time, August 23rd, midnight to 3 p.m., the United States evacuated a total of 6,916 people. Only 483 were Americans. The vast majority were Afghan nationals, 6,425.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com. Trending now on The Charlie Kirk Show.
Okay, welcome back to the Larry Elder Show. This is your guest host, Carl Jackson, filling in for the great Eldersky. We're coming to you live from the ReliefFactor.com studio. The number to call in, 888-971-7243. 888-971-7243. And I made a mistake. I made an error when it comes to Rick Grenell. Actually, what Rick Grenell did was he caught the report about Trump wanting to attack China, gossip and innuendo. So it wasn't about General Mark Milley. So my mistake on that end. So I just wanted to clear that up. So thank God thank God, Forgotten Man has sent this to me. Former acting director of National Intelligence, Rick Grinnell, is pouring cold water on new reporting from Bob Woodward, detailed in the Washington Post Tuesday, that General Mark Milley vowed to give China a heads up if President Donald Trump ordered an attack. Oh, actually, I just take that back. He's also dismissing calls from Alexander Vindman, the whistleblower behind Trump's first impeachment, over a phone call with Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky for Milley to resign. Anyway, I just have a weird feeling about this. And maybe, I mean, Milley has been disastrous everywhere else. I'm looking at this hostage situation or reading about this hostage situation. It'd be a good time to throw Milley under the bus. It's a good time to distract from everything that's going on in Afghanistan. Milley should go regardless. I mean, again, the guy has been a complete and utter disaster in so many facets. It's unbelievable. Whether you're talking about China, Afghanistan, the surrender in Afghanistan, whether you're talking about CRT and white rage, the guy, in my opinion, needs to go bye-bye regardless. But I would like to see him testify as to whether or not this is true. And so we'll wait and see if that happens. Okay. Switching gears here. Daily Mail. Moderna says people who received its COVID vaccine last year are nearly twice as likely to get a breakthrough infection compared to those who got the shot recently. So new data from Moderna found 88 breakthrough cases of COVID-19 of those fully vaccinated between December 2020 and March 2021. Comparatively, there were 162 breakthrough cases among those vaccinated between July 2020 and December 2020 during clinical trials. Moderna says these data suggest fully vaccinated people should receive booster shots 6 to 8 months after their final dose. Honestly, I need to have an expert on. I don't get this. So if the vaccine is ineffective, you receive a booster shot of the same vaccine. I'm going to have to bring an expert on to ask about that, because that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. And also, this doesn't sound like a booster shot. It sounds like, well, this is just very disconcerting to me. Early data showed a third dose increased neutralizing antibody levels increased by as much as 15-fold after 1 month. So Moderna Inc. says people who received the vaccine last year, again, are nearly twice as likely to get a breakthrough infection compared to those that are just recently vaccinated. And the breakthrough cases occur when people contract the disease 14 days or more after receiving their final dose of the shot. So the new data that was published on Wednesday found the 88 breakthrough cases of COVID-19 among Americans vaccinated. Again, this was from December 2020 to March 2021. The Cambridge, Massachusetts-based company also reported 13 severe cases among the early vaccination group compared to 6 in the later group. What's more, there were 3 COVID hospitalizations and 2 deaths in the group vaccinated last year compared to no hospitalizations or deaths in the group vaccinated in winter of 2022 and spring of 2021. Moderna says the data provide evidence for giving booster doses to fully vaccinated people. So wouldn't it be nice if you had someone that was as competent as Trump in the White House that could say, hey, listen, maybe these vaccines aren't as efficacious as we believed. Maybe we need to ramp up some testing, get some better vaccines out there, ones that'll actually last for a great deal of time. Or we could tell people, hey, this is a coronavirus. It's going to be around just like every other coronavirus is, whether it's the common cold, whether it's the flu, it's going to be around. We're going to have to learn to deal with this. We're going to have to learn to live with this. So let's embrace the monoclonal antibodies. Let's embrace ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine. Let's embrace all of these therapeutics that seem to work in fighting back COVID-19, or at least making it less severe. So there's fewer hospitalizations and God forbid, obviously, fewer deaths. We don't want to see deaths continue to occur. But what's frustrated me about all of this stuff is the fact that, and then now we've got a death panel. We have Fire Marshal Bill is his own official death panel in the White House at this point, again, trying to ration out monoclonal antibodies to red states in the Southeast. But again, what's so frustrating to me about all of this is the fact that we just totally forget therapeutics. That is my big frustration with this. I am not an anti-vaxxer. I could care less if you get a vaccination shot or not. I have not gotten one. I don't intend to get one. It's not that I'm against them. I've had it. I've had COVID. I don't believe that I need one. And I take different vitamins, including D, zinc, C, turmeric, and whatever turmeric. Thank you, Sean. To try to stay healthy. Those are some of the things that that I take. And, if I need therapeutics in the future, again, when I had it, I took ivermectin, I took the AZ pack or azithromycin, I took prednisone as a steroid, and I continue to take my C, D, and zinc, and taking all of those together when it was really hitting me hard. I took all of those therapeutics together, and I'm telling you, by the time I went to bed at night thinking I'm probably going to have to go to the hospital, and I woke up in the morning feeling like a new man as far as my breathing. I mean, I was completely weak. Like I said, an ant could have body slammed me. But nonetheless, that's been my frustration. But what we're finding out are these vaccines are just not as effective as we thought they were. And yet, here we are trying to make sure that Biden is trying to make sure that they're mandated. And the only reason they're trying to do this, the only reason they don't want people to live their lives is because they want control now so that they can continue to have control after the 2022 election and after 2024. But they're going to use these COVID powers to issue in new powers. They never want to let go of their power. It's really as simple as that. Let me talk to you about Pure Talk. Last month, an absolute landslide of you made the switch to Pure Talk. You were chained to overpriced unlimited plans from Verizon, AT&T, or T-Mobile, then finally decided to make the switch because you know that Pure Talk saves the average family over $800 a year without having to sacrifice coverage. Friends, if you haven't made the switch to Pure Talk, this is the easiest decision you'll make today. You can keep your phone, you can keep your number, or get huge discounts on the latest iPhones and Androids. Get unlimited talk, text, and 6 gigs of data for just $30 a month. Or if you still want unlimited data, you can get that and still save a fortune. Experience why Pure Talk is the highest rated wireless company by Consumer Affairs, why they're the preferred wireless partner of AMAC. From your cell phone, dial pound 250 and say Larry Elder, and you'll save 50% off your first month. That's pound 250, say Larry Elder. Pure Talk is simply smarter wireless.
Trending now on the Mike Gallagher Show.
I would say that this is now on track, Peter, to be the largest airlift in U.S. history. And that is bringing American citizens out. It is bringing our Afghan partners out. It is bringing allies out. So no, I would not say that is anything but a success.
Okay. As the kids would say, OMG. Yeah, we have an extensive vetting process. Sure we do. I've been to the border, lady. No, you don't. No, you don't. But again, back to Kamala Harris. There she is trying to escape this mess by hiding out in Singapore. But there are reporters there, too.
To that end, we have seen a successful drawdown of the embassy, and thankfully, without any American casualties. We have seen thousands of people who have been evacuated from the airport in Afghanistan, where the United States military doing very hard and difficult work.
Yeah, it's very difficult to get all those Afghans out of Afghanistan. Again, let me read the numbers to you. This was leaked, and it's on the Federalist. We've got the whole article posted at MikeOnline.com. According to this leaked information from the U.S. State Department, the evacuation numbers Within 15-hour period of time, August 23rd, midnight to 3 p.m., the United States evacuated a total of 6,916 people. Only 483 were Americans. The vast majority were Afghan nationals, 6,425.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com.
Listen to this. Angry and bitter, headline from the Daily Wire. France snubs Biden, cancels a gala celebrating the U.S.-French relationship. We're getting snubbed by France. We're getting snubbed by Macron. And where's this other story? France, excuse me, France calls the killing of the Islamic State leader a big victory. Do you know how depressing it is to have to cheer on France for killing one of the Islamic State leaders? That should be us. Now, granted, this was back in 2017, but nonetheless, I'm celebrating this. It's amazing. It's amazing. Next thing you know, and Sean told me this, so I can't take credit for it, but it is funny. France will be taking back the Statue of Liberty. We are looking like... Oh, hat tip Prager. Prager said that. That's right. Crazy. Anyway, let's take a call really quick. Let's go to Junior in Greenville, South Carolina, or JR. JR, welcome to the Larry Elder Show. You got the mic.
Hey, Mr. Jackson, how you doing?
Doing good, thank you. Go right ahead.
I'd just like to say, where can I get some of that Kool-Aid everybody's drinking?
I'm not sure what you're talking about. Go ahead, JR.
I want some of that Kool-Aid everybody's drinking. Reality don't exist. I mean, I want some of that Kool-Aid. You can be a complete idiot and make a lot of money, and people listen to you and follow you around. I want some of that Kool-Aid.
Okay. All right, JR, I appreciate the call. I'm not sure where that's going. Let's go to Steve in Atlanta, Georgia. Steve, welcome to the Larry Elder Show. You've got the mic. Steve, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, go right ahead, Steve. We got a minute.
All right. So the reason I called is because yesterday or day before I saw a video out of California, you know, the Larry Elder election. I think it was, anyway, yesterday, day before. And it was a lady on the news, the local news there, and I'll pull it up here in a second. And she was being interviewed. And the reason she was being interviewed by the local news is because she said that when she walked in and she went to vote, they told her that she had already voted.
Yeah, we played that audio, as a matter of fact, right here. You're right. There were several cases like that.
Yeah, several, yeah. Even before she even walked out, she met 3 other people that had the same thing happen to them. And that's the way they're doing it is through the machines. They're doing it through the machines.
Steve,
anyway,
no, we're out of time. I appreciate you calling in. You're absolutely right. That's something Republicans are going to have to work on for sure. We'll be back in the next hour.
Trending now on the Hugh Hewitt Show.
Jen Psaki, the pressure is getting to her, questioned by Peter Doocy, a famous clip already, cut number 11.
But does the president have a sense that most of the criticism is not of leaving Afghanistan, it's the way that he has ordered it to happen, by pulling the troops before getting these Americans who are now stranded? Does he have a sense of that?
First of all, I think it's irresponsible to say Americans are stranded. They are not. We are committed to bringing Americans who want to come home. We are in touch with them via phone, via text, via email, via any way that we can possibly reach Americans to.
Jake Tapper thinks they're stranded on CNN, cut number 4.
Look, I understand that people are working long hours in the White House, the National Security Council, State Department, Pentagon, and over in Kabul to get Americans out of that country. And I understand the White House wanting to reassure the nation that all Americans will ultimately be evacuated. But there are no doubt Americans who feel stranded in Afghanistan right now.
Of course there are. It's absurd for the White House, and it tells you something about Joe Biden. Britt Hume was on with our friend Guy Benson on his radio show yesterday, said this, cut number 1.
But anybody who ever heard him speak for any length of time could tell that this was not the sharpest knife in the drawer, and he could talk forever and was famous for it, but you never had the sense that he was terribly smart. And on top of that, now he's manifestly senile. And between those two things, this is a man with very, very severe limitations who is well too old, in my opinion, to be the President of the United States.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com. Trending now on The Hugh Hewitt Show.
Whoever in the White House decided it would be a good idea to try and get everyone out by September 11th, 2021, and thinking that that would be some positive PR win for the United States should be fired, because that's a huge, huge propaganda win for the Taliban. And now it's also put us in the practical position on the ground of being entirely dependent on the largesse of the Taliban to get our people out. And I guarantee you, we're going to leave thousands of people behind. And that's unacceptable for the United States of America.
Congressman Gallagher, I'd like to point to 2 lies. The first lie is that we were obliged to leave by May 1. The Taliban broke the agreement at least as early as March when they attacked forward operating base Chapman and wounded 7 Americans. So they violated the agreement. We're already beyond the May 1 deadline. There is no agreement, and there is no need to go. Secondly, there's a terrorist threat. Every American who's been in Afghanistan, including you, has been under a terrorist threat whenever they have been there. We've got 6,000 of our finest Marines in the 101st Airborne. I know I don't want any of them hurt either. But what do you make of those 2 arguments that we've already extended the deadline and we're under a terrorist threat?
Well, of course, the Doha Agreement was conditions-based, and one of the conditions was that the Taliban not allow al-Qaeda to operate from their territory, and of course they did. I believe even the UN pointed that out at one point, and if you don't think that's true, then there's evidence in the form of the fact that we've killed al-Qaeda operatives on Afghanistan soil.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com. Trending now on the Eric Metaxas Show.
This is the left, and we've heard this so many times, that the word is fluid for the Constitution. Oh, it's fluid, it changes in meaning, so there's no real specific definition. Well, that's not true. The hallmark of our Constitution is not just separation of powers, but limited specific powers. And so on the federal level, the Biden administration and the executive branch and even Congress are limited to the specific enumerated powers that are given in the United States Constitution. Our 9th and 10th Amendment reserve all powers that are not enumerated to the states and to the people. So that doesn't mean then that the states are just unlimited in their authority either. And so the federal government has absolutely no authority to tell the states what to do with respect to vaccine mandates, with respect to any of these things that infringe upon our liberty and freedom. We're no longer in a state of emergency. The state legislatures can absolutely meet, and they can determine whether or not to implement some of these things if they're even constitutional, and there's a lot of reasons that they're not, but that is a specifically legislative designation. So for these executive branch officials to say, hey, we're exercising our emergency authorization, we're going to force every individual to show a vaccine passport before they can take advantage and exercise their rights with respect to going into restaurants, gyms, hotels. I mean, all of these things. That is a violation of the separation of powers. Our government is not tyrannical. They can't just decide what's best for you and me in the interest of quote unquote public safety. But this is where, Eric, the left wants to go.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe today at rumble.com. Trending now on The Mike Gallagher Show.
Any teacher who's taping masks to 9-year-olds' heads should be fired immediately. I mean, that's not, I'm not going out on a limb here to say that. Do you disagree with that? Now, the lunatics who are so mask and vaccine crazed, who are freaking out about 100,000 people in a college football stadium, I'll bet they think that's okay. Well, if the 9-year-old doesn't have his mask on, you got to tape it to his head. You got to tape the mask around it so it stays over his mouth and his nose. Not only should the teacher lose her job, she should be arrested. That's assault.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com. Trending now on The Hugh Hewitt Show.
Crap. Found a site that's, where is it free? Come on, no way. Okay, there we go. All right, welcome back to the Larry Elder Show. The number to call in, 888-971-7243, 888-971-7243. And don't anyone call in and say that JR was a racist. We think JR was getting to a point. So JR, if you're listening, I believe I recall him calling in before. But I would just encourage anyone that calls in, even if you're being sarcastic, because basically I think the point that he was getting to is the media is just complicit in all of this Biden cover up, and and everybody was drinking the Kool-Aid. So I believe that's the point he was making, but he just didn't get there. So please, if you call in, even if you're going to be, jocular, just be very quick with it, and please just get to your point, just so there's no confusion. Okay, this breaking. Clinton Link lawyer charged for lying, L-Y-I-N-G. It sounds very close to the Biden name, I know. Clinton Link lawyer charged for lying in Trump-Russia origins probe. I love that. This had to BBC. Michael Sussman is accused of concealing that he was working for Hillary Clinton's campaign when he submitted a tip about Donald Trump. Lawyers for Mr. Sussman have argued that he did not commit a crime. The Trump administration began this probe of the Russia inquiry led by former prosecutor John Durham in 2019. or 2019, Mr. Durham has been tasked with exploring whether the government acted lawfully and appropriately when collecting intelligence ahead of the 2016 presidential election. Mr. Trump and his supporters have often accused the FBI and the Department of Justice of illegally monitoring his 2016 campaign. And of course, he was correct about that. And now this guy, Michael Sussman, has been, it's found that he has lied. He has indeed lied. And it looks like he will be indicted. So good. I'm sorry. This is people. There's still people out there that believe this Russia collusion nonsense. You had several hundred people, actors on Facebook, just doing silly stuff with it, not making a dent in the election of 2016 whatsoever. And the media ran with that narrative. Obviously, I think initially kind of to distract from Hillary Clinton's behavior, where she literally had her computer and she was using her government computer. What was it? What was she doing? She was sending personal emails or using Oh, that's right. She had a private server. Thank you. Conducting government business on a private server. So it could have been easily hacked. Thanks, John. You just saved me from that one. I could not remember for the life of me. So I think she tried to distract from that issue. She created this whole Russia collusion narrative. The left ran with it. And obviously now it's not going to pay off. So good. I'm glad to see justice, even though it's a little late. Better late than never. What a moron. Oh my goodness. I couldn't believe when he did that. I was like, you just lost to her as soon as he did that. Absolutely crazy. Okay, getting back to this issue with this Moderna vaccine. And in fairness, I do want to say, listen, these breakthrough cases, even though many of them have been pretty bad, some of them have been very severe, they still are rare when you consider the over 100 million vaccines that have been given. So I don't want to exaggerate here. I don't want to, try to be hyperbolic when it comes to this. But the fact of the matter is we do know that the vaccines are largely ineffective or not as effective as we were led to believe. And they seem to be wearing thin pretty quickly, which is why they're saying now you need a booster shot, why they would give you a third shot of a vaccine or vaccines that don't seem to be that effective. That is beyond me. I really do believe that we should focus on therapeutics, and I do believe that a lot of doctors and I do believe a lot of government officials are guilty. In my opinion, they are guilty of murder. I believe they have blood on their hands. I'm not saying it just to try to be this radio guy just saying something outrageous. I really believe that there are doctors that knew better. There are government officials that knew better. We know what Biden is doing. And by the way, we know what Biden is doing right here in trying to punk our Governor DeSantis. DeSantis moves now to buy the antibody treatment directly from the manufacturer after Biden tightens the grip on the supply. Biden doesn't know about a free market economy because it's not something he's ever had to experience. He's been in government virtually all of his life. He's never run anything. He's only stole from you, the people. That's all he's done his entire life, and you guys decided to elect him. So anyway, that's that. But we'll see what happens. We'll see if he tries to interfere on this, but it appears that Governor Ron DeSantis is now going to buy the antibody directly from the manufacturer itself. According to Daily Wire, Governor Ron DeSantis said that he was very, very concerned with Biden's decision to restrict the distribution of monoclonal antibodies to states amid a search. See, Democrats go too far. They just go too far. You know this is vindictive. And we have these Democrats running around town here. I mean, if it weren't for Governor DeSantis and some of his executive orders, they would be clamping down just like you guys are in California. Thank God for this governor. But Democrats are pushing this stuff too far. And I'm telling you, they're going to pay for this. I truly believe they're going to pay for this in 2020 in the ballot, at the ballot box. As long as you get your election, your elections together and make sure they're honest, make sure they're fair. Guys, we should be fighting for paper ballots. Just last week on September 9th, going back to the story, President Joe Biden said that his administration would be increasing shipments of monoclonal antibodies in September by 50%. And yet on September 13th, HHS announced that it was seizing control of the monoclonal antibody supply and that it would control distribution. And then on September 14th, the announcement was more than 50% of the monoclonal antibodies that had been used in Florida were going to be reduced. All right, guys, so if you're for socialized medicine, you're for government-run medicine, imagine if a Republican was in the White House and had done that to a state that you were living in, if you happen to be a Democrat. You would be going cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, and you should be. This is why you don't want government-controlled medicine, because you don't want politicians like Joe Biden, who Lord knows needs a lot of medication today just to focus, for God's sake. This is why you don't want socialized medicine. Medicine should be between yourself, your doctor, and your family. And I'll be honest with you, I can't stand when doctors advocate for socialized medicine. I know they're a social justice warrior. That is not a doctor that I want to be around in the long term. God help us. God help us. That's not a doctor that you want around. When you're nearing the end of life. But that's the state that we're in. All right, real quick here. We only got a minute left here. All right, so Nicki Minaj says she's locked out of Twitter, but she's been invited to the White House. Twitter and the White House respond. Had to forgotten man. Nicki Minaj has posted on social media and Twitter that Twitter locked her account, and that the Biden administration invited her for a personal meeting. Wow, in the White House after she initiated a viral discussion about COVID-19 vaccine hesitancy. Both outlets have responded to her claims. The culture-wide conversation began when she posted a story about a friend of hers cousin's allegedly suffering an unusual side effect from the vaccine. Figures as diverse as Prime Minister Boris Johnson and Dr. Anthony Fauci have also gotten drawn into the controversy over Minaj's tweet. They're scared, folks. They're scared.
Trending now on America First with Sebastian Gorka.
And as far as I'm concerned, if I may, as a former insider, the key question is going to be personnel. We need to build the bench that helps staff you and doesn't subvert you. What are your plans? What would the second term look like? And who's going to build that bench for you, sir?
Well, first of all, for your listeners, you did a fantastic job. You were terrific. I deal with you a lot. And I dealt with you after you went out and made a fortune. I hope you're making a fortune anyway, but I think you are based on your ratings. But I dealt with you a lot, and that's why I do your show, and I don't do a lot of other shows. I do people that I respect and people that have been fair, and you've been really, I congratulate you. But you were very important, and the great job that you did. You have a knowledge. I heard the word strategist mentioned in the opening, that you were a strategist, and that's really what Biden needs. He needs somebody to help him because our country is embarrassed. Our country has never been embarrassed like they are right now. In the speech in Alabama, where we had a massive crowd, they say 68,000 people showed up in the rain. It was rain and thunder. And I had the idea the morning of, this was Saturday, the morning of, put up the General Patton, the opening monologue that he does in the movie Patton, which I don't know if it got the Academy Award or very close. And I think George C. Scott did get the Academy Award. But we put up the opening monologue, and I said, that is not a woke general, but it's a general that knows how to win. And we have guys that are more interested in things that have nothing to do with our military. It's really what's going on now is crazy with our whole country. What they're doing now to our country is absolutely frightening.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe today at rumble.com. Trending now on the Charlie Kirk Show.
How is it
possible that Joe Biden let this happen? Was this intentional? Did he want our enemies to have it? It's hard to believe that incompetence could possibly let this happen. Jake Sullivan, the highly unimpressive person who's never done anything useful in his life, says we don't have a complete picture, obviously, of where every article of defense materials has gone, but certainly a fair amount of it has fallen into the hands of the Taliban. And obviously, we don't have a sense that we're going to be ready to hand it over to us at the airport. The Taliban now has the 26th largest air force in the world with 0 pilots. 600,000 weapons, 75,000 vehicles, 200 total aircraft, and $85 billion in total weapons. 110 helicopters, 60 transportation cargo airplanes, 20 light attack airplanes, and 18 intelligence, reconnaissance, and surveillance airplanes. The Taliban now has more Black Hawk helicopters than Australia. And this is all on our government. This is all on Joe Biden, who now wants praise, who says, this was a perfect withdrawal. Are you kidding me? Cut 59, Jen Psaki says that the Afghanistan effort is a success. It's on track to be the largest airlift in U.S. history.
Say that this is now on track, Peter, to be the largest airlift in U.S. history. And that is bringing American citizens out. It is bringing our Afghan partners out. It is bringing allies out. So no, I would not say that is anything but a success.
Anything but a success.
Keep up with what's trending.
All right, welcome back to the Larry Elder Show. Good news. Apparently, there's no testicular swelling in Trinidad. I don't know how they'll check that again, but anyway, that's what they say. And all of this after Nicki Minaj came out and said, listen, I have a family member that was affected by one of these vaccines, and now the White House wants to invite her to the White House and I'm sure tell her to basically shut her mouth, try to convince her in every single way possible to stop thinking for herself. Don't use common sense, Nicki Minaj. That's what the left wants her to do. But I would say, Nicki Minaj, continue to use your common sense because obviously you have it and a lot of Democrats do not. Let's go to Charles in South Carolina. Charles, welcome to the Larry Elder Show. You got the mic.
Great. You're doing a great job filling in for Mr. Elder.
Thank you.
I would like to say, I'd like to say real quick a couple of things. One, the guy that refers to the Kool-Aid, he's probably talking about the incident back in the 70s where Jim Jones moved from California to Ghana, Africa, took his congregation over there, and then finally made them all commit suicide. So you can go into another story on that. That's probably what he's referring to. Now, the other thing on General Milley. Now, what a lot of people don't know is that President Trump could not start a war by himself. He could not get that football and actually start pressing buttons. It takes a minimum of 2 people to do it. The American Communist Party, headed by, you refer to them as Democrats, run by Nancy Pelosi and the rest of them, they know that as well. Now, if all this is true and all this can be proved, then we're not at war with China. We're not at war with pretty much anybody else. So she needs to go to jail for the rest of her life, and whoever was in on that. Now, as far as the military, General Milley would also know that too. That it takes a minimum of 2 people in order to launch a nuclear strike on any country. So he would know that as well. Now, if it's true that he told his other fellow officers that just to pledge allegiance to him, so to speak, and follow his orders and his orders only, then he is also guilty of high treason, as well as the American Communist Party. You refer to them as Democrats.
Would it be? What's your history, Charles? Because I'm curious. Because I'm wondering, would it be treason or would it be mutiny? Because my understanding is that if we are not officially in a war, with someone that it would not rise to the level of treason. I don't know if you know the answer to that or not.
Yeah, yes, it still would rise to treason, but it's not punishable by death. It would only be punishable by going to prison. Now, of course, probably back in the day when men were men and women were women, they probably would have went to jail for the rest of their lives unless there was a war going on where they'd be executed. But today, they're not, they probably only get maybe 6 months, in-house arrest or something like that, the way things are now. But other than that, basically they're going to get off scot-free because why, they run the country, and it doesn't matter even if President Trump was in office right now, they still run the country, and that's what's wrong with this country now. They're embedded in everything, local, state, and federal
totally agree.
Entities throughout, even in the schools, you name it, they are. So anyways, General Milley needs to be held accountable, and something needs to be done. If it's true now, I don't know if it's true, but if it is true and they can prove it, then
listen, Charles, I appreciate the call. You're absolutely right. If it's true, I think he needs to be held to the full account of the law, whatever that means, whatever that is. But I would like to hear. I mean, the fact that he hasn't come out and said anything, gives me pause. Where I'm like, okay. If this isn't true, I would come out right away with a pretty strong statement. But I'm just telling you, this administration with Biden is so crooked and so incompetent. I just believe that they need each other. They're partners in crime, so to speak. I believe that perhaps they have so much dirt on each other. God knows. And then who's going to fill his place? Who's going to take his place? I'd imagine it'd be someone even worse than him under this administration. So, I mean, or I think they'd have a hard time of finding someone to take his place as the Joint Chief of Staff, because either they're going to be corrupt like Biden, or maybe they would stand up and say, no, I don't want to be a part of this administration. Who knows? Anyway, I want to play an audio clip for you here as we go down the line with this story with Nicki Minaj. And again, I think the White House wants to brainwash her and tell her to be quiet, because when I looked on Instagram or saw a story from Instagram, she had like 150 million followers or something, like some ridiculous number. So the impact that she has, the impact that this guy, this SNL guy, comedian, and thank God for him, has, is Jim Brewer, thank you, it's monumental, and they got to shut these people up. So let's play one clip for you. Let's play Nicki Minaj here talking about American cancel culture. Number 4, por favor.
You can't speak for the fear of the mob attacking you. If that doesn't give you chills up and down your spine, this is scary. You should be able to ask questions about anything you're putting inside your body. We ask a bunch of questions about the most simple thing. Oh, how that glue work? Do that glue really keep the wig down for how many hours? Oh, 'cause if I go in the pool and if I sweat it off and try that, but you can't just innocently ask a question about something going in your body. Do y'all realize that I remember going to China and they were telling us, you cannot speak out against, the people in power there, etc. And I remember all of us thinking, oh, okay, well, we understand and we respect the laws here and that it's so different where we live. But don't y'all see what's happening? Don't y'all see that we are living now in that time where people will turn their back on you, not agreeing, but people will isolate you if you simply speak and ask a question.
Man, that's a heck of a lot of common sense. I don't know what you think about Nicki Minaj. I don't know if you listen to her music. I don't care if you listen to her music. That's called common sense. I mean, LeBron James couldn't figure this out. She gave us a description of the difference. She goes to China and they say you can't speak against the leaders here. And she's like, oh, okay, I respect that, but it's so different in our country. You know, my buddy Christopher Hart of the American Adversaries, and when I brought him on the other day, he had an excellent point, and I forgot to talk about it. Biden is trying to force this vaccine down our throats because this disease is waning, and he wanted to be able to take the credit for this disease going bye-bye. And with people not taking the vaccine, he won't be able to do that. It was an excellent point by Christopher Hart. This is Carl Jackson in for Larry Elder. We'll be back in a few.
With Sebastian Gorka.
And as far as I'm concerned, if I may, as a former insider, the key question is going to be personnel. We need to build the bench that helps staff you and doesn't subvert you. What are your plans? What would the second term look like? And who's going to build that bench for you, sir?
Well, first of all, for your listeners, you did a fantastic job. You were terrific. I deal with you a lot. And I dealt with you after you went out and made a fortune. I hope you're making a fortune anyway, but I think you are based on your ratings. But I dealt with you a lot, and that's why I do your show, and I don't do a lot of other shows. I do people that I respect and people that have been fair, and you've been really, I congratulate you. But you were very important, and the great job that you did. You have a knowledge. I heard the word strategist mentioned in the opening, that you were a strategist, and that's really what Biden needs. He needs somebody to help him because our country is embarrassed. Our country has never been embarrassed like they are right now. In the speech in Alabama, where we had a massive crowd, they say 68,000 people showed up in the rain. It was rain and thunder. And I had the idea the morning of, this was Saturday, the morning of, put up the General Patton, the opening monologue that he does in the movie Patton, which I don't know if it got the Academy Award or very close. And I think George C. Scott did get the Academy Award. But we put up the opening monologue. And I said, that is not a woke general, but it's a general that knows how to win. And we have guys that are more interested in things that have nothing to do with our military. It's really what's going on now is crazy with our whole country. What they're doing now to our country is absolutely frightening.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe today at rumble.com. Trending now on the Charlie Kirk Show.
How is it possible that Joe Biden let this happen? Was this intentional? Did he want our enemies to have it? It's hard to believe that incompetence could possibly let this happen. Jake Sullivan, the highly unimpressive person who's never done anything useful in his life, says we don't have a complete picture, obviously, of where every article of defense materials has gone, but certainly a fair amount of it has fallen into the hands of the Taliban. And obviously, we don't have a sense that we're going to be ready to hand it over to us at the airport. The Taliban now has the 26th largest air force in the world with 0 pilots. 600,000 weapons, 75,000 vehicles, 200 total aircraft, and $85 billion in total weapons. 110 helicopters, 60 transportation cargo airplanes, 20 light attack airplanes, and 18 intelligence, reconnaissance, and surveillance airplanes. The Taliban now has more Black Hawk helicopters than Australia. And this is all on our government. This is all on Joe Biden, who now wants praise, who says, this was a perfect withdrawal. Are you kidding me? Cut 59, Jen Psaki says that the Afghanistan effort is a success. It's on track to be the largest airlift in U.S. history.
Say that this is now on track, Peter, to be the largest airlift in U.S. history. And that is bringing American citizens out. It is bringing our Afghan partners out. It is bringing allies out. So no, I would not say that is anything but a success.
Anything but a success.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com. Trending now on the Hugh Hewitt Show.
I think this is a crisis that we haven't faced since 9/11. I think it's
is 888-971-7243. 888-971-7243. All right, so again, the left wants to keep this gravy train, this COVID gravy train going as long as they can. And I'm not minimizing the disease. And I do believe that people should take it seriously. I do believe that you should make sure you take care of your hygiene, washing your hands, the best of your ability. If you can, keep distance from just the same thing that you always do when you fear somebody or you're concerned that someone is sick and you don't want to catch it. It's just common sense. So I just recommend that you use common sense. Consult your doctor. If you start feeling sick, you suspect it's COVID, perhaps you get tested right away or go to your doctor's office or whatever, wherever they can test you. And make sure you stay up on your vitamins even before then, especially vitamin D and zinc, very important. So make sure you stay up on those. But, ask for therapeutics immediately. And if they tell you all they can give you is prednisone and go home. And, if you're almost on your deathbed, then give us a call. To never go to that doctor again. Never, ever, ever. I don't care how nice they are, how sweet they talk, how handsome he is, how pretty she is. Never, ever go back. That's not the doctor that you're going to want in the long run. It's really sick. And a lot of times these doctors aren't necessarily at fault. Some of them just literally don't have enough time to read all the latest data. So they just believe everything the CDC says, everything the NIH, NIAID says, and they just take it as the gospel truth. And you just can't, because leftists are running the show and they've infiltrated every one of those bureaucracies. I want you guys to hear this audio clip from Bill Maher. I'm telling you, the left is getting really scared. They can't have people like Nicki Minaj speaking up. They can't have this comedian I'll talk to about shortly, Jim Brewer, former SNL alum, speaking up. But here's Bill Maher. I want you guys to hear Bill Maher. Audio clip number one.
But I have to cite a survey that was in the New York Times, which is a liberal paper, so they weren't looking for this answer. But they were talking about this. The question was, what do you think the chances are that you would have to go to the hospital if you got COVID? Mm-hmm. And Democrats thought that was way higher than Republicans. 41% of Democrats, and the answer is between 1 and 5%. Okay. 41% of Democrats thought it was over 50%. Another 28% thought it was 20 to 49%. So 70% of Democrats thought it was way, way, way higher than it really was. Liberal media has to take a little responsibility for that, for scaring the shit out of people. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because it's much harder for every touring act to sell tickets in blue states.
Oh, interesting.
They're afraid to go out of the house.
I see.
Whereas in red states, it's all good to go. So I just want to say to those people in San Rafael and Pittsburgh and New York, I ain't going to give it to you. I promise. It's safe. We're doing everything we can. There's distancing. There's masking. Enjoy. Live life.
You did get it in
Embrace
May.
life.
You did get it.
I got it after I was vaccinated.
You got it after you're vaccinated, right? And you wouldn't.
And I had no symptoms. That may be because I was vaccinated, but let's not even get into that, because I know you and your boyfriend, Howard Stern, are very paranoid about this. But it's a little weird that I got it after. But now many, many, many people have had the same situation.
Yes. I know people very well who have.
Look, bottom line is we know if you're vaccinated, you almost never die from it. So, look, I'm for whatever is getting America back to where I can see the James Bond movie in the theater.
All right, so here are the liberal media that are scaring people. Audio clip number 3, Don Lemon. Okay, never mind. Do we have that? Oh, audio clip number 3. We have time for that? Don Lemon?
And
we'll
so
play it in the next.
Stop coddling people when it comes to this and the vaccine, saying, oh, you can't shame them. You can't call them stupid. You can't call them silly. Yes, they are. The people who aided and abetted Trump are stupid because they believed his big lie. The people who are not getting vaccines who are believing the lies on the internet instead of science, it's time to start shaming them. What else? Or leave them behind.
Every time I hear this man, done be lying, I get upset that this guy literally has a job in front of the TV. Whew. All right, I gotta pee. All right, let me run.
The Democratic Party somehow has convinced black people that they're the good guys. Never mind the skanky history of the Democratic Party. That was a party of slavery.
They're racist, racist, racist. Everything's racist.
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com. Streaming on Salem Now.
Tesla was a genius. His most amazing discoveries thought to be written in a lost journal. Now, in the right hands, it could revolutionize the 21st century.
You can stop an earthquake. Doesn't that mean you could start one too?
That's why that notebook should never fall into the wrong hands.
Shall we stop this thing?
Save the universe! Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to salemnow.com.
Trending now on The Mike Gallagher Show.
I would say that this is now on track, Peter, to be the largest airlift in U.S. history. And that is bringing American citizens out. It is bringing our Afghan partners out. It is bringing allies out. So no, I would not say that is anything but a success.
Okay. As the kids would say, OMG. Yeah, we have an extensive vetting process. Sure we do. I've been to the border, lady. No, you don't. No, you don't. But again, back to Kamala Harris. There she is trying to escape this mess by hiding out in Singapore. But there are reporters there, too.
To that end, we have seen a successful drawdown of the embassy.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com.
This is why we're fighting for the soul of America. You should be able to share ideas without fear of being fired from your job or shouted down.
You are not to be heard. This is one of the few things we have no precedent for in the United States.
You have the right to remain silent.
Look for Salem Now in the App Store or go to Salem Now.
Oh, seriously?
And so I think we have to stop coddling people when it comes to this and the vaccine, saying, oh, you can't shame them. You can't call them stupid. You can't call them silly. Yes, they are. The people who aided and abetted Trump are stupid because they believed his big lie. The people who are not getting vaccines, who are believing the lies on the internet instead of science, it's time to start shaming them. What else? Or leave them behind.
You know what? It is time to start shaming the dumb morons like Don B. Lyon. Seriously, I said this before the break, but every time I see this guy on television, I literally get upset that this guy has a job in front of the television. He has got to be the dumbest or one of the dumbest broadcasters out there, and he is so condescending as well. It's crazy. The fact that children have kids 12 and under, children period, have virtually a 0% chance of dying of COVID. Yes, you are going to have some cases, but when you're talking about a population of over 320 million people, and you're talking about a handful of kids or more, you're slightly more dying, I don't want anybody to die, right? We're not heartless. These people are heartless. They are destroying lives. They are destroying livelihoods. They are killing people by not talking about therapeutics. And this man is just getting a paycheck. And he's I don't know if he knows that he's lying or if he's just dumb. But I don't think he's that intelligent. But this is frustrating. I mean, seriously, every time I hear this guy, I can't believe they would put someone on TV like this. I really think it's, it has to do with, I don't know if it's affirmative action. I don't know if it's because he's a gay black guy. I don't know. They felt like they had to check the diversity quota box or whatever it is. He speaks nothing of natural immunity whatsoever. Fauci doesn't speak of natural immunity because Fauci is a clown. Fauci is a smart guy, so we know that Fauci is just lying. He tried to cover his butt. We have the evidence. We have the emails. He got caught. He was busted. These people are sickening. These people are, it's time to shame and mock them. You're talking about a disease, and granted, I understand some people out there have died from this, and I am not minimizing this disease. But you're talking about over 99.5% of people are going to be able to walk away from this. And we're destroying the country over this? We're destroying lives over this? We're destroying people's businesses and their incomes, and we're going to have to put them out. I mean, they're going to lose their homes. They're going to lose vehicles. Perhaps they're not going to be able to send their kids to college. We're doing it over a disease where over 99.5% of people will say, been there, done that. And then they have the audacity to talk about, we get vaccines for everything else. We get the vaccine for the measles, the mumps, the chickenpox. Have you checked the death rates, the survivability rates on those? Compared to, they are nothing like COVID-19. And I forget the numbers. I'm going to have to bring those numbers. It's not even close. It is one of the dumbest arguments out there because, and I need to do this, because you can find it out relatively quickly. First off, this isn't a vaccine because I've taken a vaccine for polio, measles, and I've not had to worry about it. Right? You have to get a booster shot within 5 or 6 months of getting this vaccine, which means it's obviously not effective. Anyone with a modicum of common sense knows this. This guy is just being paid. He's being paid to be a puppet. And that's exactly what he is. Don B. Lyon is a puppet. I have an issue. They'll call black conservatives. This is where my ghetto fabulousness comes out. Because I don't feel like I handle this stuff as well as other black conservatives. I'm just being honest with you. Larry Elder, how he handled that egg situation, That is the epitome of class. God is still working on me because that is not how I would have handled that. And God knows that. That's why I wasn't on the campaign trail. But this is, I feel like, I'm just going to be honest with you guys. I feel like people like Don Lemon, Don B. Lyon, are the sellouts. I feel like he's sold out for a paycheck. This guy is, and honestly, he's not the only one, right? He's not the only one, obviously. You got Joy Reid going after Nicki Minaj for sharing common sense. They're scared of Nicki Minaj because she has 157 million Instagram followers. Comedian Jim Breuer. This is how you handle it. Comedian and SNL alum Jim Breuer cancels shows at venues requiring COVID vaccination. It's time for us to push back. It's time for us to fight back. They are not going to let go of this thing. They are not going to let go of this thing. Who are politicians? How do they have the audacity to tell us our jobs are non-essential? We put them in office. How is it that our jobs are non-essential? That makes no sense. They're just going to usurp our authority. We're going to let them usurp our authority. If I recall correctly in the Constitution, it is we the people. I can't take this stuff. It drives me nuts. It drives me nuts. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just being real. I'm just being real with you. Comedian and SNL alum Jim Breuer. I'll have to get to this on the other side. But I'm telling you, it is time to mock them. It is time to shame them. Dumb Lemon, are you so dumb that you can't read you don't have any common sense? You don't understand that kids are virtually not going to die from this disease? You don't understand natural immunity? Who are you? Who are you? Just a punk on air, quite frankly.
Trending now on the Charlie Kirk Show.
The Arizona Supreme Court said Tuesday that contractors hired by the state Senate to conduct the audit would not need to release the records from their review by next week. This is only a temporary delay, is what we're being told. A left-wing watchdog group, American Oversight, took its record request to the court and emerged victorious when the Arizona Court of Appeals ruled that Cyber Ninjas, the Florida-based firm leading the audit, was subject to state public records law because it was performing a core government function. Arizona President Karen Fann argued the records should not be publicly released because they're maintained by private contractors, so legislative immunity applies to the documents. It is ordered extending the stay to enable the court to fully consider the issues raised in the petition for review. American Oversight's suit is not the only one leveled against the Arizona Senate. The Phoenix-based Arizona Republic newspaper sued the chamber and Cyber Ninjas on June 30th for access to the host of audit records under the same public records law. Of course, the Arizona Republic is suing. I mean, why would they be reporting? They would be suing people to try to stop the audit. The audit results are coming out soon, despite all of these legal challenges against it. We don't know what it's going to say, but I could tell you that people are very nervous that what might be implemented from what actually might be exposed from these audit results are going to be significant, very significant. We know that there were 72,000 more mail-in ballots received than were sent out. We know that this election was interfered with in many different ways, from the Center for Technology of Civic Life, from Mark Zuckerberg's money, and many other people.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube and at rumble.com. Trending now on the Dennis Prager Show.
In terms of dedication to helping America, there's no comparison between Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Donald Trump really, really, really wanted to help America. Joe Biden does not. That's Biden, and that's Afghanistan, and that's the conservatives. Now Biden, which we would not have if we had a Republican president. Yes, every one of you businesses in America, you must not allow people who are not vaccinated, even if they've had COVID, and are probably in a better medical position not to transmit or get the disease. Everybody has to get a vaccination. We've been lying to you, we on the left, since Roe v. Wade.
All right, welcome back to the Larry Elder Show. Just real quickly, comedian and SNL alum Jim Breuer cancels his shows at venues requiring COVID vaccination. Basically, he says 2 quick updates on shows that you may think you may be getting tickets to or you already have tickets to. The Wellmont Theater in New Jersey, not doing it. Also, the Royal Oak Theater in Michigan, due to the segregation of them forcing people to show up with vaccinations. I am also not doing those shows. I know I'm going to sacrifice a lot of money, but I'm not going to be enslaved to the system or money. If you have anything else to say, he goes on to say, I honestly don't care due to I have to stick to my morals. I have to stick to what I know is right. Kudos to SNL alum Jim Breuer. This is the way it's got to be done. This is a fighter. This guy's going to sacrifice a lot of money. And I understand that's a painful thing to do, but more of us have to stand up and do the right thing. I have time to take one more call here. Let's go to Don in Chicago. Don, welcome to the Larry Elder Show. You've got the mic.
Hey, great. Thanks a lot. You were all over it. You hit a lot of key points just a minute ago before the break and everything. And this is what it's going to take. Somebody like the young girl, Nicki, I don't know the last name. I wasn't even a fan of her.
Right, Nicki Minaj.
Now I'm going to go out and buy something she produced just because it's going to take people who are popular and young like her.
I agree. Yeah.
Afraid to say their piece and be nice about it. I call into these liberal shows and I say just quite nicely, I go, I'm not trying to be offensive. I'm just trying to give the other point, and I'll hit them with all the points you just hit them with. And, one time I threw this lady up for a loop, this Joan Esposito in Chicago. She was all over it, and I said, I know 99.5% of the time I'll be fine, but, that 0.5% of the people who want to take the vaccine, go ahead. I have no offense to that. Why are they offended by me? And she had no response.
Good for you. Good for you. Don, I appreciate the call. We're running out of time here, but you're right. It is going to take people. This is what they fear. This is what the left fears. People like Nicki Minaj, people like Jim Breuer, people that have a following, people that have an audience that says, wait a minute. Let's use our common sense. Let's learn more about this thing. Nicki Minaj isn't even against the vaccine. She just said, listen, I'm not going to this Met Gala because they're requiring a vaccine and I want to do more research. And she was like, I'm going to go double mask or wear a mask with a strap so there's no flapping, there's no all this kind of stuff. But no, that's not enough. That's not enough. It's amazing. It is going to take people like Nicki Minaj standing up. We need more people. She has courage. I hope she keeps it. This is Carl Jackson in for Larry Elder. Until next time, don't go where you're doing good. God bless.